Welcome to Noah's Narrative, where everything feels real and something hides deeper. The man with the mob. The elevator doors opened at the 14th floor, and Nathan Wells stepped out holding a grey mop bucket and wearing a faded blue uniform with the name Patty stitched across the left chest pocket. His shoes were plain, his hands were rough from the last 3 weeks of actual cleaning work. Nobody on this floor gave him a second glance, and that was exactly the point. Nathan had built Wells and Croft Enterprises from a single rented office and one borrowed laptop 12 years ago. Today the company employed 430 people across 6 floors of this downtown building. He had read the internal surveys, he had seen the resignation numbers climb from the third straight year. He had heard the phrase toxic floor culture in 3 separate exit interviews. So he did what any reasonable person would never expect a CEO to do. He put on a uniform and showed up with a mop. The 14th floor was the financial analysis department. 60 employees, open desks, glass-walled meeting rooms, and at the center of it all, like a queen surveying her territory, sat Gloria Simons. Gloria was 44, sharp-dressed, and spoke in a tone that made people feel 2 inches tall before she had even finished her sentence. She had been floor manager for 3 years. Her numbers were decent. Her team turnover rate was a disaster. Nathan was pushing the mop past the row of printer stations. When he first heard it, "Tobias, my office now," the voice cut through the office chatter like a blade. Every head within 10 desks lifted slightly, then quickly looked back down. Nathan slowed the mop without stopping. Tobias Van was 26, new haircut, slightly wrinkled shirt, the kind of tired eyes that came from staying late too many nights. He grabbed a folder from his desk and walked toward Gloria's glass office with the posture of a man walking into a courtroom. Nathan positioned himself near the recycling bins just outside the glass wall, close enough. Gloria did not ask Tobias to sit down. "I asked for a full variance analysis on the Harmon account, and you gave me 4 pages of notes that look like something from a college student's notebook." She dropped the folder onto her desk without opening it again. 4 pages, Tobias, I needed 12 at minimum. I finished what I had the data for. The Harmon file was missing 2 quarterly attachments. I sent a request to the data team on Tuesday and they have not responded yet. Gloria tilted her head slowly. "So your answer is that it is someone else's fault?" "It is not about fault. I am just explaining what happened with the file. What happened is that you failed to deliver. Your work is financial analysis. Finding the data is a part of analysis. Following up is a part of analysis. Sitting at your desk waiting for files to arrive is not analysis. It is decoration." Tobias pressed his lips together. "I will have the complete version to you by end of day tomorrow. You will have it to me by noon today, or we will be having a very different conversation about your future on this team." Gloria picked up her phone, signaling the meeting was over. "Close the door behind you." Tobias walked back to his desk. His face was completely still, the way a person's face goes still when they have learned that showing anything only makes it worse. Nathan kept moving the mop in slow circles. His jaw was tight. He had seen enough already, but he kept watching. A little before lunch, a small coffee spill appeared near the east corridor. Nathan went to clean it. As he knelt near the baseboard with the cloth, Gloria walked past with two other managers. She did not walk around Nathan. She stepped so close to him that his shoulder moved from the air, her coat sleeve displaced. One of the managers, with her glass down, and started to say, "Oh, sorry," out of instinct. Gloria kept walking, leaving it. That is literally what he is here for. Nathan looked up. The second manager caught his eyes for half a second, then looked away and followed Gloria. Nathan stood up slowly and wrung out the cloth over the bucket. 3 weeks of this floor, and he had never once heard Gloria greet the maintenance staff. Not a note, not an accidental eye contact held for a moment. The people who cleaned the floors where she worked every single day were, to her, a part of the building, like the carpet, like the lights overhead. Nathan pushed the bucket toward the supply closet. At the end of the hall, he passed Tobias' desk on the way. Tobias was straight at his screen, headphones in, completely sealed off from the room around him. Rose Delgado, who sat 2 desks away, leaned slightly across the easel and slid a small sticky note onto the corner of Tobias' desk without saying a word. Tobias pulled out one earbud, read it, and for the first time that morning, something close to a small and tired smile crossed his face. Nathan noticed. He filed it away. He had everything he needed from today. Tomorrow he would learn more, but tonight he would sit in his actual office on the 22nd floor and think very carefully about what a person like Gloria Simmons was quickly going to do this company from the inside. One conversation at a time. Cracks in the ceiling. The next morning, Nathan arrived on the 14th floor at 7:45. Most of the office did not fill up until 8:30, which gave him 45 quick minutes to move through the space and observe it without the performance that people put on when a full room was watching. He refilled soap dispensers in the bathroom near the east stairwell. He replaced a flickering bulb in the corridor by the meeting rooms. He wiped down the glass panels along the main walkway. Simple work, honest work, the kind that left a place better than he found it, which was more than he could say for certain people on this floor. Rosa Delgado arrived at 8:10. She was 51, with short silver straight hair and reading glasses. She kept pushing up her nose even when she was not reading anything. She had worked at Wells and Croft for 9 years. Nathan had looked at her file the previous evening. Excellent performance reviews every single year, 3 commendations from clients, 0 promotions in the last 4 years. He had made a note about that too. Rosa set her bag down, turned on her monitor, and then did something Nathan had not seen anyone else on this floor do in 3 weeks. She walked to the small kitchen area, made 2 cups of coffee, and placed one on Tobias' desk before he had even arrived. Then she sat back down and started her day without making anything of it. When Tobias came in at 8:20, he saw the coffee, looked over at Rosa, and she just tilted her head once toward his screen as if to say, "Get to work, you have a deadline." Tobias sat down and got to work. Nathan watched this from the corridor and thought about his mother. Margaret Wells had cleaned offices for 11 years when Nathan was growing up. She used to say that the character of the workplace lived in its small moments, not its big announcements. A company could hang values on every wall and still be rotten in every hallway. Nathan had built his company with that idea as a foundation. Somewhere along the way, on the 14th floor, that foundation had developed a serious crack. He was cleaning the window ledge near the open workspace when Gloria arrived at 9. She came through the main doors with her coat already off, folded over one arm, moving fast. She scanned the room the way a person scans for problems, not people. Her eyes landed on Tobias. She walked directly to his desk and stood behind him. Tobias did not hear her coming and kept typing. Gloria stood there for a full silent moment before she spoke. The noon deadline stands. I want the executive summary on a separate page this time, and I want your source list attached, not embedded. Can you manage that, or do I need to write it down for you? Tobias turned around. I can manage it. Good. Also the Renfield projections from last Thursday had 2 rounding errors. Small ones, but errors. I noticed. I will correct them and resubmit. I already corrected them myself. At 11 at night, she let that sit in the air between them for a moment. Think about what that means for both of us. She walked away toward their office without waiting for a response. Tobias turned back to his screen. His shoulders dropped by about half an inch. It was subtle, but Nathan caught it. That half inch was not tiredness, that was a person shrinking. Rosa looked across the easel at Tobias, but said nothing because there was nothing safe to say with Gloria's office in full view of the floor. At 10:30, Nathan found a reason to be near the small kitchen area at the same time as Rosa. He was whipping down the counter by the sink. She was waiting for the kettle. Which morning, Nathan said. Rosa glanced at him. Most staff barely registered him up, but Rosa was different. She actually looked at people when they spoke. Not really, she said simply. Nathan kept sweeping the counter. Seems like a tough place to work sometimes. Rosa studied him for a moment, not suspiciously, just thoughtfully. The way a careful person decides how much to say to a stranger. It has its moments, she said. That young man at the end row, he seems like he works hard. Rosa poured her water and was quiet for a few seconds. He does. He is one of the most genuinely sharp people on this team. He catches things other analysts miss. He just does not always get to show that because he spends most of his energy surviving the feedback rather than building on it. Has it always been like this up here? Rosa looked at him again, longer this time. You ask a lot of questions for a maintenance guy. Nathan smiled. Habit. I worked in a lot of offices. You learn to read a room. Rosa seemed to accept that. She picked up her mug. It got worse after the last round of the budget reviews. Pressure rolls downhill. You know how it goes. She paused at the kitchen doorway. That young man is thinking about leaving. I can see it. And when he does, this floor will lose the best thing it has. And nobody in that glass office will understand what went with him. She walked back to her desk. Nathan stood alone in the kitchen for a moment, holding a cloth he had stopped using. That afternoon, he watched Gloria pull Tobias into a second meeting. This time it was about a client call that had happened the previous week. Nathan could not hear every word through the glass, but he could see the shape of it clearly. Gloria leaning forward, Tobias sitting straight, nodding. Gloria pointing at something on a printed page, Tobias reaching for the paper and Gloria sliding it back toward herself before he could take it. When Tobias came out, he walked directly to the bathroom and did not come back for 7 minutes. Rosa washed the clock from her desk. Nathan collected his bucket and his cart and moved slowly toward the elevator. He pressed the button for the 22nd floor. The door closed and he stood alone in the small steel box, still wearing the name Petty on his chest, thinking about every person on that floor who had quickly learned to make themselves smaller so that one person could feel larger. Tomorrow would be the last day Petty showed up on the 14th floor. What came next would require a completely different uniform. The crown reveals itself. Nathan arrived on the 14th floor at the 9 sharp, but this time he did not come through the service entrance. He came through the main elevator with his actual key card, wearing a charcoal grey suit that cost more than most people on this floor earned in a month. His hair was combed back. His shoes were polished. The name tag that said Pitch was gone. He walked calmly through the glass doors and stood at the center of the open workspace. For about 4 seconds, nothing happened. People typed. Phones rang softly. A printer hummed near the back wall. Then someone looked up. Then someone else. Then the room went so quiet that the hum of the air conditioning became the loudest thing in the entire space. Rosa Delgado was the first person whose expression shifted from confusion into something slower and more serious. She took her reading glasses off and set them on her desk. Her eyes moved from Nathan's face to the name stitched on his visitor badge, which stood to read his real name, Nathan Wells, CEO. Tobias looked up from his monitor and went completely still. Gloria stepped out of her glass office holding a printed report. She looked at Nathan with the particular agitation of someone whose morning had already been interrupted once. Can I help you? This is the restricted floor for authorized personnel. And unless you have clearance from building management, you need to go back to the service level and speak to your supervisor. Nathan turned to look at her. I think you should sit down, Gloria. Something in his voice made 3 people nearby stop pretending to work. Gloria's expression shifted, not yet understanding but sensing something had changed in the air. I beg your pardon. Mine is Nathan Wells. I am the CEO of this company. I have been working on this floor for the past 3 weeks as part of direct assessment of our management culture. You knew me as Patty from the maintenance team. He paused. I need you and Tobias and Rosa in the large meeting room in 5 minutes. I also need 2 members of the HR leadership team who are already on their way up. The silence in the room had a texture now, heavy and still, like air before a storm. Gloria stood holding a report. Her face moved through several expressions quickly before settling into something rigid and controlled. This is completely inappropriate. If you had concerns about this department, you should have gone through proper channels and schedule a formal review through my calendar. I did go through paper channels, Nathan said evenly. I went through every channel available to a person who cleans your floors, refills your soap, dispensers, and replaces your light bulbs. That was my channel for 3 weeks. Let us go to the meeting room. He did not wait for a response. He walked toward the large conference room at the end of the floor. Rosa stood and followed immediately. Tobias pushed back his chair slowly, like a person not entirely sure if what was happening was real. Gloria followed last. Her heels were sharp against the floor tiles. The 2 HR directors, Sandra Obi and Frank Castellano, were already stood inside when the 4 of them entered. Nathan stood at the head of the table. He did not open a laptop. He did not bring notes. Everything he needed to say had been organizing itself inside him for 3 weeks. I want to start by saying that this meeting is not about punishment, Nathan began. It is about honesty. And honesty requires that we talk about what has been happening on this floor in plain and direct language. He looked at Gloria. During my time working here, I witnessed multiple interactions between you and members of your team that I found deeply troubling. I watched you speak to Tobias in a way that was designed not to correct or guide but to diminish. I watched you take credit in passing for work you did not do. I watched you use deadline pressure as a weapon rather than a tool. And I watched you walk past the people who maintain this building as though they were furniture. Gloria still lifted slightly. I run a high-performing department under significant pressure. My methods produce results. Your methods produce fear, Nathan said. And fear produces a short-term compliance, and fear produces short-term compliance and long-term damage. Your team's resignations rate over the last 18 months is the second highest in this entire company. 3 of your former analysts cited management style as their primary reason for leaving. That is not high performance. That is a slow and expensive leak that this company has been ignoring for too long. Gloria opened her mouth. Nathan held up one hand, not aggressively, just firmly, and "I'm not finished." She closed her mouth. He turned to Tobias. "I want you to hear something clearly. The quality of your thinking is not the problem on this floor. I reviewed 3 months of your submitted work last night. Your instincts are strong. Your analysis on the Harmon account, even incomplete due to the missing data you correctly flagged and correctly requested, showed the kind of structural thinking we need more of in this company. You have been operating under conditions designed to make you doubt yourself. That stops today." Tobias looked at the table for a moment. When he looked back up, his eyes were steady, but Tobias looked at the table for a moment. When he looked back up, his eyes were steady, but there was something released in them. Like a breath held for a very long time, finally let go. Nathan looked at Rosa. "You have been a great source of integrity on this floor for 9 years. I also noticed that your career growth has not reflected your contribution, and I take responsibility for that oversight. That changes." Rosa nodded once. She did not perform gratitude. She simply received it with the quiet dignity of a person who had always known her own worth and had simply been waiting for the room to catch her. Nathan turned back to Gloria. "Effective today, you are placed on a structured performance review under HR oversight. This is not termination. I do not believe in discarding people. I believe in accountability, and I believe in the possibility of genuine change. You will participate in a full leadership. You will participate in a full leadership development program over the next 60 days. Your management authority is suspended during that period, and your team will report directly to Sandra. At the end of the 60 days, we will assess together whether a path forward exists." Gloria was very still. The rigidity in her posture had shifted into something more complicated. Not quit, remorse, but perhaps the first edge of it. "You could have just called me into your actual office," she said quickly. "I could have," Nathan agreed, "but then I would only have known what you show people when they have power over you. I needed to know what you show people when you think nobody important is watching. That is the truest origin of the person's character." Gloria looked at the table. She did not respond. Nathan addressed the whole room. "I want this floor and every floor in this building to be a place where the person emptying the bins and the person running the meeting are treated with the same basic human respect. Not because it is policy, because it is right. Talent does not announce itself with a title. Sometimes it shows up wearing a name tag that says pity and pushing up mop bucket and paying very close attention." He picked up his folder from the table. Tobias, starting Monday, you are joining the Emerging Leaders program and you will be assigned a senior mentor from the executive team. Rosa HR will be in touch before end of week regarding a formal role review and a compensation adjustment. Sandra and Frank will stay to discuss next steps with everyone individually. He walked to the door and stopped with his hand on the frame. I spent 3 weeks on this floor and the best thing I saw happen was a cup of coffee placed on the desk before the person arrived. No announcement, no expectation of recognition, just one person deciding that someone else's morning mattered. He looked briefly at Rosa, then at Tobias. Build a company on that and you build something that lasts. He walked out. Behind him, the room sat in a silence that felt nothing like the silence from before. This is the one had air in it. This one had the particular quality of space where something true had just been said out loud for the first time and everyone present had felt it land. Rosa put her glasses back on. Tobias picked up his pen outside the glass walls and 14th floor continued its day, but something in the temperature of the room had shifted permanently. The way a space changes when a window is opened that has been sealed shut for a very long time. Thank you.